people I'm going to tag are Q at Professor Q's College Books, and KB from Maybe KB, who mostly does singing, but wants to get into booktube as well. So, there you go. I don't know if I'm supposed to tag other people, but if you like this video, do this video. I don't know who else to tag, because I don't know who else would like to do it, so there you go. If you like this...
Yeah. Hello everybody, this is KB. Before I get in this video, I have a little bit of a backstory to as this came about. So, that clip you just watched is from Sophie at Sophie's Book Nook, and that video was released 7 months ago, and I was tagged 7 whole months ago, and I'm just getting around to recording this now, so yeah, punctuality on my part. But, I did actually record one. It was really bad, and I lost it. So I'm recording it again, and yeah. There's also a funny story as to how it all came back. So when I started this channel, I was really inspired by my friend Bella, who you may know as the Bookish Badger, and it was the first time that I'd seen somebody make content that I knew, that wasn't just novelty. It wasn't like, wow, my friend is making YouTube videos and it's actually not bad, or it was just so cool to have something that I could enjoyably watch that was, you know, homemade, and I knew it was homemade. So, from then on, I tried to get my YouTube channel started, and Sophie got her channel before me, I think, and I was like, oh, I mostly want to stick with music on my channel, but like, hey, Sophie, if you ever, like, have the opportunity to tag me in a book tag, you should do that. And she was all gung-ho, she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then she tagged me in that video, which was kind of a mean move, kind of a jerk move, Sophie. So here I am, and I'm going to be trying to make a booktube video the best I can, and we'll see how it turns out. But before we continue, I think we're gonna need a little change of scenery here. And that's a little better. I can't do this in front of my bookshelf because my bookshelf is really gross and unorganized. So if I make another booktube video, which I probably will because I love books, I'll do it in front of there. But until then, time to flex my Pop Funkos. So I am doing the anti-Harry Potter tag. The anti-Harry Potter tag. This was created by Todd, the Diction Puppeteer, who is a lovely gal that I just watched the video of. And anyways, all these questions are supposed to be things that are like, oh no, I would always say Harry Potter for these, but you can't, so joke's on you. And honestly, when I was going through this just 2 seconds ago, the hardest part for me was finding books that pertain to each category, because all the books I would think of kind of fit all the categories, like Harry Potter would in this case. So I'm like, man, a series I want to reread, and I would just find all these books. So it was just really narrowing it down to the ones I wanted. Alright, so the first question is a book or series that you would want to reread. For that, I chose, the name of this book is Secret by Pseudonymous Bosch, which is a horrid name to say really fast. The Secret series, what can I say? I found this book around like 11 or 12, and I just thought it was the greatest. It has so many cool things and layers to it. The whole simple plot of the book is that these two kids are basically destroying this secret organization cult thing, and it gets crazy and it gets wild, and the writing is amazing. It's all these like missing parts and like secret codes and things like that. And it's just a journey. It's definitely an experience to read the book, and not many books have that, which I'm happy for. The second question, a book that has a special place in my heart, and for that answer I chose Holes by Louis Sachar. I think it's Sachar, but it might be Satcher. I don't know. Anyways, one of the tightest books I've ever read in my entire life. There's very few books. Actually, one of the other books that I would put toe to toe with this book and how compact and succinct it is on this list. But Holes is just one of those books that you read over and over again, and there's so much packing into just this little book. And it's just this middle grade book. Like, you would think it's simple and stupid, but my word, it's so good. And the movie is so on point that, like, I read this book just for fun, like, now over and over again, because I love the way it's written, and I love the story, and I love everything about it. The third question is a book that you loved as a child. Now, for this answer, I am going to go with kind of an obscure one, but this is Finn Family Moomin Troll by Tove Jansson. And if you don't know what this book is, that's okay. It's kind of obscure, but if you do know what this book is, congratulations, because this is one of the most bizarre and wholesome books ever. And I found it as a kid, like, just rolling around the library, and you can see these little hippo looking things. These are called Moomins, and I love them, and I was just immediately enraptured by the series. And I didn't get very far because they're kind of heavily worded and they've got some cumbersome words, but in the end I find that, like, I picked up a lot of it and absorbed it, and I just love it. And I don't know if I would ever read it again, or I'm not going to read it right now, not where I'm at, but it has a very special place in my heart as a kid. So that is that book. So the next question is the first book you fell in love with. So for this question, for this answer, I have Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a story here. When I was about 10 or 11, I wasn't, an avid reader, I guess. I read for school, and that was about it. But that all changed when I encountered this book, because it was one of the first books that I read, and I just remember I was like, I can't put this down. I can't put this down. What's going on? Like, I was always a kid who, like, I was a very young reader. Like, I read signs, so, like, reading was all around me, so it wasn't really that great of a deal. But when I first read this, I was like, what is happening? There's a story, and it's cool, and I want to read more, and I'm like, what? And I had a bit of a mental breakdown. And it's a series that grew up with me a little bit. I would love to reread it again. See, all these books that I have would fit for all the other questions, and reading it with my sister was always a great memory. We would have a competition on to who could read it first, and it was just one of the first series that I just completely obliterated through. Kind of like Harry Potter, but we're not allowed to say Harry Potter here, so let's continue on to the next question. Why don't we? The next question, question 5, is a book you'll love forever. And for this answer, I've decided to go with To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. If you haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird, there's not much I can say to you other than go read it now, because it is, like Holes, one of the most tightly written books on the face of the earth. It is probably the most tightly written book on the face of the earth. And I love it. I love it so much. I read it during a book club around, like, age 13. So, age 13 is probably my favorite age thus far. Like, there was so much that happened to me at that time, and so much I was learning and reading, and I was like, yes, it's so good. And To Kill a Mockingbird has one of the most heartwarming and gut-wrenching stories ever told in American literature, and there's nothing that's going to make me hate this book. So, a book that I'm going to love forever, it's gonna be To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Next question! Question number 6, a book that you'll pass on to your kids or grandkids, and for that, I chose The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. It's Narnia. What can I say? It's one of the greatest series written, and I have good memories of it being read to me as a kid. So why not pass on that experience? It's just common sense at this point, and it's a timeless story, and I think it deserves to be passed on. Next is question 7, a middle grade series that you love. For that, I chose Hoot by Carl Hyacin. You may know this from the movie, or you may have read the book, but this entire series is all about these teens in the Everglades in Florida who go and rescue animals. And it's something between like a coming of age story and like a Bear Grylls like episode, and it's so cool. And like all these books I have in the list were around the time where like I first read Percy Jackson, and I was like, wow, if there are books like this that can make me feel this way, are there other books like this? And this was another one. We listened to a lot of these on audiobooks with my family, and it's just one of those books that has grown up with me very well. And for the final question, number 8 is a book with magic. There's so many books that I could have used for this, and I was just like, why? It's pretty much every book I read has got some form of magic in another. So I just decided to go with Narnia again, because I think it's got one of the cooler or more original representations of magic, you know, like where Harry Potter, it is very wand and, you know, Wingardium Leviosa. But with The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe, magic is something that is not easily accessible, and it's very mysterious, and it's not well defined. It's a very loose definition. It's one of those things that whenever I read The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, I am immediately caught up with. I'm like, whoa, like, this is so cool. This does so much. And I think that is the last question. All of these books. It's probably gonna be my thumbnail. So at the end of a tag, you're supposed to tag other people so that they can do it. I don't have any booktube friends, so I'm just going to yell at Bella from The Bookish Badger and yell at Q from Professor Q's College of Books, because they need to do the tag, because I just did it after 7 months, so they need to do it after 7 or 8 months now. So join me. So I think that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time. But until then, go to Bella's comment section, go to The Bookish Badger, and pretty much just make sure that she knows that she is tagged, and make sure that Q knows from Professor Q College of Books, and make sure that they know that they're tagged, because I want to see this tag done. Other than that, I've enjoyed making this video. It's a little bit of a different change up for me, and Sophie, thank you for tagging me. I enjoyed this very muchly. Alright, goodbye.